What a year it has been for Barrick Gold. First of all, we've watched bullion prices surge during the COVID-19 pandemic with all this record spending around the world and low interest rates. Gold prices going from around $1,500 an ounce to now north of $2,000. And investors have this fresh love affair with gold stocks. Barrick's been one of the best performers on the TSX. It's up about 65%. And then, as we've been reporting for the last couple of days here, now the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett, who long had a skeptical view of gold, Berkshire Hathaway, changing course and now is a proud owner of Barrick shares. Let's get some reaction to all of this. Mark Bristow is the president and CEO of Barrick, and he joins us now. Mark, thanks very much for being back with us here on BNN Bloomberg.
Morning, John. Nice to be back.
Okay, so are you a good bridge player? Did you get to sit down with Warren and make your case, change his mind? What was your reaction to this? Was there ever any dialogue between your company and Berkshire Hathaway?
No, John, we did see Berkshire Hathaway start buying shares a while back, and they've, consistently bought. And, it's an endorsement on what we set out to do back in September 2018 when we merged Randgold Resources and Barrick, and then subsequently consolidated Nevada, where I am today, and took Acacia private. And we set on a course to really create what we want to see as the world's most valued company. And that means we want to own the best assets, we want to employ the best people, but more importantly, we want our shareholders to be owners. That means it's important that we attract generalists into our company, and we've been working hard at that even before the merger through Randgold. And I think getting Berkshire Hathaway onto our register is an endorsement of that model, that we want to be able to offer value to investors through the cycle, and not just be an attractive investment for gold bugs, effectively. Not that they are not important; they're also important.
Right. Just so I get my facts and figures correct here, because the broader world just learned over the weekend about Berkshire investing. You alluded it had started to become on your radar. When about did you guys notice that Berkshire was doing a little bit of nibbling on Barrick stock?
It was a couple of months ago, and there's been a steady increase in that investment. And again, we respect the privacy of investors, and until such time as they file their positions, which they did on Friday night.
Got it. And, I do want to talk a little bit more about the Barrick story during this big move higher for gold. But on Buffett specifically, one of the things we've talked a lot about for these last few days, there are these historic quotes you can Google really quickly to see what kind of catchy thing
yes.
Warren Buffett has said about gold in the past. And a lot of people were wondering, gosh, is this Warren? Is it another member of his management team? Do you get that granular with your investor base? Were you guys curious? Is it a change of heart for Warren, or is it somebody else on his management team who has been really thinking differently about where the economy is going and feeling it prudent to buy a gold stock like Barrick?
Well, I think the key here is that, when I started Randgold Resources 30 years ago, the focus was on to create a sustainably profitable business. And so often in the gold industry, we all look to the gold price to be able to deliver returns. And we've built a business on the back of high quality, focus on profitability, profit margins that make money for our shareholders throughout the cycle. Randgold Resources delivered dividends, growing dividends for 13 years in a row through the cycle. And we set out to merge with Barrick, combined a leading portfolio of world-class assets, and with that objective in sight. And to have we have a very broad base of generalist investors, and I think any company looking to attract generalists onto their register to get the Berkshire Hathaway investment into one's register is an endorsement of that vision. And so, I don't think there's anything bigger than that. We all know what has been said in the past, but things change. And the one thing about Berkshire Hathaway is that they never shy to go back on something and recognize opportunities. And it's good for Barrick, it's good for the gold industry, it's good for the mining industry, because I always say the mining industry is an industry that is absolutely necessary for day-to-day existence and for our future well-being. But it's an industry that's not really loved, and we as an industry have to really work much harder to be acceptable to future generations in the way we manage our business and the way we behave.
Wow. Well, things change sounds like quite the understatement recently. He's an industry leader who has talked about $2,500 gold prices within the next 2 years. For those who aren't familiar with what you have already said on where prices could be headed and what you as a firm are budgeting for, give us an update. I mean, where do you think gold prices are heading now that they are north of $2,000 an ounce?
We've been through the 2011 gold price spike on the back of a global financial crisis. This is another one. This is just unprecedented. Our focus is to allocate capital at a long-term gold price of $1,200. We want to bake that margin in. We have a 10-year horizon in our business plan at $1,200 gold. And that's why people invest in gold miners that actually run their companies as real businesses like any other global business, and they want to benefit in times like this, and we are very determined to stay that course and deliver value for our shareholders and, more importantly, our other stakeholders, John, those key stakeholders like our host countries. Whether it's here in Nevada, where it's been a crisis financially because of COVID and the effective closure of the gaming industry, or in DRC, which really looks to the mining industry to support its treasury, or some of the South American countries, we are there to make sure that we create value for all our stakeholders, communities, host countries, and of course our investors.
I just want to circle back to something you talked about, running real businesses, and there's no doubt Barrick is certainly doing that, but is it your opinion that there are some companies that are perceived gold players, maybe their stocks have been rallying during this boom, that aren't really operating real businesses?
Well, I think the gold industry in particular and generally the mining industry tends to run boom and bust, and certainly in the last, as you point out, the last year, there's been a lot more discipline across the global mining industry to focus on a more sustainable business plan, and I really do hope that our industry continues with that discipline and also uses a time like this to invest in the future of mining, rather than just to turn to harvesting an opportunity presented by a rising gold price.